V-Shape is a 10 HP wide Eurorack module. It's available in black or silver front panel. There's essentially two modules in one, a wave twister and a distortion unit with a selectable wave folding function. Both of these two functions can be daisy chained together to process a single signal, or they can be used independently to process two signals simultaneously. Both functions also have CV inputs, so they can be controlled externally. This is the module, and that's the profile, and then on the back this is a -12 volt rail on the bottom of the power connector. So you have to make sure that the red stripe on the bottom of your power cable is aligned with that when you connect it, and the same on the bus board as well. I like to install the cable first, just so I haven't got the module dangling off the end of the cable. It's just easier to handle. So make sure the red stripe lines up with the -12 volt rail, which here is at the bottom. Then same again for the module. The controls on the V-Shape are quite straightforward. You've got a bipolar shape control, which controls the amount of wave shaping or wave twisting that takes place on the incoming signal. And you've also got an offset control that you can use in conjunction with the shape, so that you can use it to find the central position of the incoming wave. Let's say if you wanted to just have a very close mirrored reproduction of the incoming waveform, you can use this to fine-tune it, but also you can use it to do quite the opposite, to make the difference even more extreme, to sort of twist the wave even more and get even more extreme results. And you've got a distortion input, which, as you'd expect, it just controls the level of distortion, and also an offset on that, which allows you to, again, it's bipolar, and it allows you to fine-tune the amount of distortion. That gives you a greater range of control, and also over the actual level of the audio that's coming through it, because you'll get a degree of increase in volume as you add distortion to a signal. Also on the distortion part of the module, you've got a switch that selects between soft clipping and hard clipping, and also a switch to turn on the wave folder, which is just exclusive to the distortion portion of the module. This is the main input for the module, and you'd use this either if you wanted to use just the wave twister on its own, or if you wanted to use it in series with the distortion part of the module. If you wanted to use it on its own, then you'd use this output, so shaper output or twister output, and you've got CV control over the amount of shaping as well, so you can use LFOs or envelopes with it. Otherwise, the output of the twister, if nothing is connected here, then it is normal to the input of the distortion. The distortion also has CV input for control over the amount of distortion, and an output. And in series mode, this would be your overall output. So basically you'd enter the audio here, do the wave twisting, add distortion, and maybe wave folding, and then that would all eventually come out of the output here. Otherwise, if you're using the two independently, or just the distortion on its own, then this is a dedicated output for just the distortion. So having something connected at distortion input would then break the connection between the output of the wave twister, which then allows you to either process two signals completely independently, or just use one on its own, or use the two of them in series. How the wave twister works is it takes the incoming signal and creates a mirror image of it. In this case, I've got a sawtooth going in, and you can see on the oscilloscope it's turned it into a ramp waveform, and that's with the shape control fully anti-clockwise. But if I start to rotate it round to 50%, you see it starts to change it into a triangle. And as I go beyond the triangle, it eventually goes back to a sawtooth. And that's with the offset control, just adjusting this so that I can get a good sort of representation of a sawtooth. But if I start to move it back to 50% and then start to change the offset, so you get that, it's like kink in the shape of the waveform, which just creates extra harmonic content to the sound. And then changing the waveshaper. So we'll try that again, this time with a triangle. As I move the shape control, you see all those extra elements to the wave shape are creating more harmonic content and adjusting the offset makes a difference as well, obviously. And now with the shark tooth wave, which is a bit more harmonically rich than a sawtooth, so you see that you just got a flips representation of the waveform there. You can also automate this process as well, so if I add a LFO to the waveshaper, by using this with something like a sawtooth wave, you can get these almost pulse width modulation kind of effects on the waveform, which are more pronounced when you have more, when the sound is more harmonically rich, when you start to sort of tear up the shape of the waveform a bit more. That's just from a triangle wave. What you're listening to at the moment is two sawtooth waves going into the ladder filter and then the VCA. And I've got that on its own audio channel, and on the other audio channel I've got the output of the filter going back into the V-shape, into the distortion input, and then the output of that going into the other channel. So this is just the sound coming straight out of the filter, and with the setting I've got at the moment, at the moment you won't hear any output. So if I change the offset to bring the volume up that's coming through the V-shape, so you get a similar kind of tone. And then I'll add distortion to it, and it will raise the volume quite a bit. You can hear the signal becoming more distorted, and then when I add the hard clipping, there's quite a bit of a difference. It's a lot more aggressive in tone. And then you can also add the wave folder to this, and it gets really torn up. The distortion and wave folding part of the module can also be good for creating very mellow sounds as well as aggressive sounds. At the moment I've got the shark tooth output of one VCO going directly into the distortion of the V-shape, and then from there out into the filter and then the VCA. So it's directly feeding off one of the VCOs this time. And so if I turn on the wave folder, you can hear there's a dramatic difference in the sound's character. And then as I start to distort it, to use both parts of the module in series, therefore going through the wave twister and then into the distortion module, then basically you just need to plug into the main input. So now that's twisting the waveform of this shark tooth that I've got, and then running it through the distortion and folding it as well. So you've got all that functionality of the wave twister, but then you can distort it and add the folder as well.
you.